Welcome everyone to Connect with Caro. As you know, each month I bring you an expert to interview on all things mindset, wellness, and relationships. And today we are going to be talking about the mindset of money, which is a very sometimes high taboo topic, but also a very sought after topic. We all know that sometimes we don't want to talk about money, or we have a weird relationship with money, and yet we need it to be able to do the things that we want to do in our lives and to facilitate our lives. So we sometimes have a very complicated relationship with money. And I wanted to bring you a superstar, amazing expert that is devoting her life, her career, and her focus in empowering women to learn about money, which I think is absolutely amazing. So thank you, Frances, for being here. I'm so happy to have you here today. Hang on, you're muted. Frances, you're muted. Everybody else should be muted, but not you. You are the star of the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Caro. No, gracias a ti. Thank you, darling. I truly appreciate it.
So this is an interesting thing because I have been doing Connect with Gatos since 2020. And I think I have maybe had one person come on to my Connect with Gato twice. And you are the only other person that's ever done that. I always have someone new on here. But for those of you that don't know, I actually interviewed Frances in 2020. And we had this fascinating conversation. You may not even remember that I interviewed you in 2020, but I did. And when I interviewed you, we were talking about realigning your life and your career and your finances. And I didn't, there was one takeaway that I got from that interview. And that was that you were dedicating that year to becoming Dora the Explorer. Do you remember that?
Wow.
Do you remember
that?
Yes,
I remember that.
You were in Orlando.
Yes.
You had a major transition. You had lost everything in the hurricane in Puerto Rico. You had started all over again in Orlando, and you decided you were going to spend some time traveling and figuring out your life and figuring out where you were going to go. And can you please share with people where you ended up?
Bueno, for many years, Caro told me over and over, Frances, your market is Miami. And I was like, no, Miami's too busy. I don't like Miami. Frances, you need to be in Miami. Caro, I don't know. Finally, after more than 5 years, I was like, Miami it is. So July 1st, I was able to move to Brickell. Indeed, as a matter of fact, thanks to Caro, because as a matter of fact, that day, the moving company did not show up in Orlando. So I had to hire a U-Haul and find some kids to help me. And I got to the apartment building half hour before its closing. So thanks to Caro, I was able to, and those two kids, to put everything on the elevator and open my apartment. So Caro, I will always be in debt with you because of that day.
I wanted to start with that because I thought it was I just have that memory of you saying like, this is my year to explore. This is my year to figure things out. And, you know, I don't know exactly where I'm going, but I know I'm going to big places. And you've made huge moves. I mean, you've made huge moves. You've done an incredible job at figuring out where you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be focused on. And I'm just so proud of you. Like, I'm so proud of you. But here's the thing. That was the only thing about the interview that I remember. I don't remember anything else about the interview. So I said, why don't I go back and rehear the interview to kind of figure out what we talked about back then, because it's been 3 years. And I came across something that has blown my mind. And you know that I am all about synchronicity. I'm all about core. for those of you that don't know about my core methodology, I have a methodology on achieving success, and it's called CORE, and it stands for clarity, organization, resilience, and emotional intelligence. And I always talk about how we need to be super crystal clear in our values, our priorities, our goals, and how we define success. And then we have to communicate that clarity. You know, we have to communicate that clarity to those around us so that we can put ourselves out there and develop this definition of success that we have. And then once we have that clarity, then we start organizing our lives around those goals, around that vision, around those priorities. We tap into resilience, and we develop our emotional intelligence. So everything that I do is always through that framework, through that filter. And I guess that's why I remember Dora the Explorer, because for me, you were being super crystal clear in what it was that you were going to do, even though that clarity was fuzzy, right? Like we didn't know where you were going to end up, but we knew that you had clarity that this was like a time of realignment, a time of vision. So I started listening to your interview, and in the middle of the interview, you say, well, I want to hear from, you know, and you start talking about money, by the way. You were talking about money in the interview, and it's going to be on YouTube. For those of you that haven't heard it, you're going to hear it again because I'm putting it on YouTube. And you start talking about money, and you start talking about women in business, and you ask for somebody to talk about what industry they're in and what they want to do. And I single out a person that had big goals, that had big dreams, and I wanted her to answer your question. So I asked her to participate, and she did. And it's such a synchronistic moment that I thought the only option on this interview was to replay it right here so that you guys would hear it live on this call. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to play this clip, if you don't mind, real quick here. Are you ready, everybody? But tell her what you want to do, Natasha.
Oh, what I want to do, the rest of it. So part of what I want to do as well is what I've realized is that women do not really know about investing in anything except having money in the bank. They don't know about passive real estate investing, and other vehicles or other avenues that they could have to create more wealth for themselves from a passive perspective. So one of the things I want to do is educate women on the fact that they can invest. They can invest in real estate too. They don't have to do it. They don't have to have boots on the ground, but they have the ability to do it. Men are doing it all day long. So that's one of my goals.
So
Natasha.
the reason that is important for all of you that
I don't remember that.
The reason that is important is because Francis Rios is hosting an event on May 4th called Women Who Lead the Money Edition. And at that event, one of her keynote speakers is Natasha, who is going to be teaching us all how to invest in passive income real estate. So I am blown away by this coincidence because I know that neither of you remember that. I didn't remember.
Blows my mind.
You didn't remember. Francis didn't remember. But you know what it shows? It shows that when you have clarity and you live this core life and you focus and you set out to fulfill your dreams, you embody, you become that identity that you want to step into. So I wanted to commend you, Natasha, today. And I actually went out of my way and texted her and said, I want you to be on the call today. So make it happen. Be on the call. Because she didn't know that this was going to happen.
No, it's incredible.
How do you feel about that, Natasha?
That's amazing. Watching something that I said 2 years ago, right?
No, not 2, 3.
3 years ago. And like, I am living it every day. And the fact that I connected with Frances to be able to, to have the privilege of participating in her event and speaking what I'm passionate about, do what you love, stick to to what you enjoy, but create generational wealth for yourself and create a path for yourself to make money. It's like, we are so aligned. It's like crazy. That is over the top.
I'm speechless. So that says something.
Oh my God.
Gracias. Thank you for that present, Caroline. We truly appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time and sharing it. Thank you so much.
I have to tell you guys that it caught me by surprise too, because I didn't remember have had that conversation. I host a lot of these interviews, but when you see people that are truly living an aligned life and going towards their goals, we have to celebrate the success of you, Natasha, and of you, Frances, because that's what this conversation is about today, right? I know that we're here to talk about money, and money, like I said, could be a controversial topic, but it's really what we're really here about is the mindset of money, is understanding that you can empower yourself by your choices with your, with a core life, and you can live this life that you want, and you can use your understanding, your wealth, your money to further your goals, to further your career, to, just to enable a life that you want to live. So I'm speechless too. I mean, I'm not really speechless, but I'm excited.
I will never forget this moment. Never in my life.
And you guys connected without having stayed in touch. You guys connected.
As a matter of fact, I called you and I was wondering, Caro, could you please, I'm having difficulties finding someone who can understand what I want to convey, the message that I want to convey. And then Caro said, Frances, I have the person. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, you know her. And I was like, Natasha. And then I was like, if you say that she's wonderful, I'm just gonna call her and tell her that she's in. That's it. And here you are, Natasha.
I love it. Well,
and that's exactly what she did. She called me and she says, you invest in real estate? You have women that invest with you in real estate? Caro says, your Caro approved? Look at your calendar right now, May 4th. You have to be there. I'm like, okay, I'm there.
Caro approved.
That's how it was.
And you guys are making it happen. So for all of you that are listening to this call, that you have seeds that are planted in your minds, you have goals that you're trying to achieve, you have a vision of the person that you want to become. I think this is such a beautiful example of how you just keep at it, because who you are today is going to be totally different than who you are 3 years from now. Yeah. What could be a pipe dream today, 3 years from now, 10 years from now is your reality. And that is a beautiful thing. But let's focus on what we came to talk about, and that is money. Now, the last time I interviewed you, Frances, you were talking about realigning your career and your life, but you were already very, very interested in finances, very interested in empowering women to take control of their finances. But now you've gone all in on the money thing. And I want to know why. Now, for those of you that don't know this, Frances has been a women inclusion guru for I don't know how many years. She is, when people think about like women, they think about Frances, not because she is a woman, but because she has devoted her life to helping women be in better positions at work, in their careers, just, lean in, take the lead, but you're really going all in on this money thing. So why are you so obsessed on helping women master their money?
Let me start with my childhood. My grandfather, he was a major banker and a major executive at major banks in Puerto Rico. My father was also in the banking industry. He also, for example, led Banco Santander, which is one of the largest banks around the world. He was a lead in New York, in Manhattan, also in Puerto Rico. My mother also started her career at Citibank, Citicorp. So I was raised in the banking industry, but I was never taught how to manage my money. I was never taught how to save, how to use my money, what credit was. I was never taught on money. And then when I was at Walmart, fast forwarding all this to Walmart, where I was their spokesperson in Puerto Rico, I remember that I had the opportunity to manage and lead 3 major battles against the company that were preventing the company from growing in Puerto Rico. And I'm gonna say this without any kind of humbleness. No, because we are always very humble about what we have achieved. And I'm hating that every single day. So I'm not gonna be humble. But thanks to me, thanks that I won those 3 battles, the company makes over $700, $800 million a year in the tiny island of Puerto Rico. And the reason I'm telling you this is after I won those 3 battles, I remember one morning waking up with a panic attack. Instead of being cheerful and happy because I was this power woman who, helped the largest company in the world make millions and millions, I woke up with a panic attack. And you know why? Because at that moment, I told myself, you know what? You're really good. You have helped this company and Humana and the other ones make millions of dollars. Still, you don't even know what's going on with your 401k, and you don't even know how to balance your checkbook.
Wow.
And the thing is that going back to when I was a little girl, when I was in 7th grade, as a matter of fact, I remember telling my sister and her friends that my life was gonna be all about my career, not having children, and about traveling the world. So as you can see, I never mentioned having a family, having a husband or a spouse, nothing. I knew since back then that I was not gonna have a safety net, that this was gonna be me, myself, and Frances. So when I had that reaction that morning was precisely based on that, because I knew that that safety blanket was gonna be not existent for me unless I created one. Am I making sense, Carol?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and that's actually a really good question, a really good point. You never wanted to have kids. You never wanted to be married. You kind of wanted to have this independent career woman life. So you were going to be responsible for your own money. But what about the me's of the world? I'm married. I have a husband who, I have a dual income family. My husband provides in my family. So why do I need to learn about money? Why is it important for someone like me as opposed to somebody that is you, yourself, and Frances, right?
Sure. Because were you born with a sibling or were you born by yourself?
Well, what do you mean? Like when I came out of my mother's womb?
Yeah.
By myself?
And we die on our own. And hold on, I have my computer, it's not, the battery, something happened. Give me 1 second. Now I know why. Okay. The reason I'm telling you that is that I have had so many clients, Carol, that come to me and tell me, Frances, since my husband was the one who was handling the house and he was taking care of the kids, I let him manage all the money. Now we got divorced and I'm in bankrupt. I had to file for bankruptcy. The other one told me the same thing. My husband passed and I didn't know what was he doing with the money. Now I used to be a house mom, and now I have to go back to work because I don't have a social security, I don't have any kind of insurance, and I need to go back to work. So women cannot let go of their independency. That's critical. The only person who can take the best care of you is you and no one else. This weekend, as a matter of fact, Karen, I was telling you this before we started the session. I was in Puerto Rico, this huge beauty company in the United States brought to Puerto Rico 50 of their top saleswomen. And I remember that on Saturday, everyone was crying. Why? Because, for example, I asked them, how is your 401k? How is your retirement plans? How is your savings account? And I kept on asking questions that nobody could answer. And the reason they gave me for not managing their money was because they don't know about how to, when they were raised by their parents, nobody taught them how to manage their money, and it makes them feel very nervous, and that's why they rather give that to their partners to handle it. Just like, just the same story like me, that happened to me that day that I woke up. I was like, I don't know how to manage my finances. I get very, very nervous, and that's what happens to everyone. So women who are married, women who don't want to get married, mothers with kids who are not married, women need to take or reclaim the control over their finances, because otherwise no one else is going to do it for you the way you want to do it.
When you told me that story before we got on the call, you said something else that really impacted me. You said some women relinquish all of their control to their spouses to handle the money in the home. And a lot of time, and you said, because they don't know anything about money. But what they don't realize is most of the time, their spouses don't know anything about money either.
Hello.
That to me was mind-boggling, because have you ever been in a situation where you don't want to handle something, so you give it on to somebody else, but that person doesn't really know how to handle it either. So it's like the blind leading the blind. We're not getting anywhere, but we don't know that really impacted me that you just said that. Because we assume that the person that is in control of the finances in the home, whether it's the husband or whatever, has knowledge. But are we empowering that person, like with our contribution, with our knowledge, to make sure that we're making good decisions in the house, that we're bettering our future, that we're creating long-term generational wealth, etc.?
Let me ask you all a question, and the ones that I'm not seeing on the screen, I would love for you to go on the screen because I want to see your reaction, okay? How many of you are married? How many of you are married? Raise your hand. Emily, are you married? No. Vivian? No. Where are my glasses?
Lisette?
Okay.
Brandy's
Lily?
married.
Okay. Have you ever, the ones that are not married, the ones who are not married, have you ever been married or engaged? No.
Nope.
Vivian,
okay,
yes.
You're like me. Lisette, no. Well, no, I got married once, but okay. When your spouse asked you or proposed, how did he do it? Did he kneel down and he opened the box with the diamond? How was it? Vivian, can you please share?
It was actually at a table with a group of friends.
And what happened?
He like wrapped it in the napkin, and when I went to get my napkin, it was there.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Brandy says yes, kneel with box. Natasha, what about you?
For me, it was at a restaurant and I got a list of all the reasons why he wanted to marry me.
Okay, that's romantic.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
cute.
Thank you for sharing. And I'm gonna tell you why am I asking? We were raised as kids to go to the dance and wait for the boy to ask us to dance. I remember that our families used to say, you sit down and wait for the boy to ask you to dance because otherwise he will get the impression that you are loose. And then who says as isorilete, and then we wait for our partner or boyfriend, girlfriend to kneel with the box and ask us to get married. Still, women dream about that every single day. And what we are doing with that is that we are giving the power about or around our life to another person. And the problem with that is that we were raised like that, and the culture is the guilty one that has led us to give the power over our lives and finances to a man or a partner.
You see, okay, but I'm going to chime in here because I am not 100% in agreement with you on this one.
That's fine.
Because in my case, my husband kneeled with a box as well, but I've been the one that has controlled the finances in my home since day one.
Caroline, you are, and I was
going
gonna mention it.
The finance.
No, I was gonna mention it. We cannot generalize. Not everyone is the same. For example, I have very high tolerance for risk taking. Not everyone has that tolerance for risks like I do.
Mhm.
But it's also not fair that I say that every woman or women don't like to take risks and are risk averse, like studies show. In your case, you had a different situation. Your father empowered you like I have never seen in my life. Then again, I come from the banking industry and nobody empowered me with relation to money. So I agree with you, but what I'm saying is that women tend to give that power over someone else, or not to pay attention to it because I get nervous. I don't know anything about it. I'll just ask somebody to do it for me.
Well, and we're putting a lot of pressure on the spouse, but that's not always necessarily the person we're delegating that to. It could be a financial advisor.
It could be.
Right? It could be an agent, a life insurance agent that, is the one that guides you with every decision that you make, and every savings decision you make is with that particular person. So we do tend to put our trust in other people without having 100% knowledge what we're doing.
And that's a problem, because then when things go south, then you blame someone else because you lost money. Instead of, no one has a crystal ball to understand or to know what's going to happen or the future of finances or investments. Nobody has a crystal ball. But what you can do is to minimize your risks by learning about the different kind of investments or the tools that you have to secure your financial destiny.
And how do you think that we could do that? Like, where would a person that has never had a relationship with money or doesn't even know how to balance their checkbook, where would a person like that start?
At the Women Who Lead Summit. Thank you.
Wow, I really threw you a softball on that one. I didn't even know I was doing that, but you're welcome.
Mira, let me tell you something. I'm gonna be brutally honest. Latinas in particular are the top spenders when it comes to beauty products. And Latinas are, and hey, I have the numbers. It's not that I'm saying it because I think so. And Latinas, when it comes to TikTok, their number one topic that they look for is beauty and makeup. How can they start? How can women start? By shifting their focus from being focused 100% into their families, 100% into beauty, 100, and taking time and some of their focus to their financial future by learning about the different tools and what they have to do. I'm not saying that you have to go to Harvard, that you have to neglect your kids. Instead of spending half an hour, for example, on TikTok, watching beauty videos, maybe you can use your time to watch how to make more money, multiply it, and protect it.
And would you say, for somebody that's never had control over their money, where things are fine, like if you're in a relationship where you're stable, your life is taken care of, how would you start even approaching that with your spouse or in your family? Like, hey, I want to know about the money in our house. Like, how do you do that? And I ask that genuinely because, like I said, I've always had control of my money, but I know that there are people that have no, that don't even know, like, where they bet. My husband being one of them, right? Like this is a true funny story, but we were one time at a place and my husband said, oh, my wife handles all the money stuff. And the person he was talking to said he can't handle all of it. And I said, just ask him where he banks. And he goes, SunTrust. And I take out my Citibank card. And I'm like, no, we bank at Citibank, because he knew nothing. And here's the thing, that was not good either. That wasn't good either. It's not good for the woman to have all the control over the finances either, because my husband wasn't empowered. It was when my husband went out on his own and started and became an entrepreneur and started, he wasn't getting a W-2 or a paycheck anymore, but he was out there making his own money, where he started to take control little by little, started making his own deposits, started figuring out what was in his bank account, started participating, started talking. And now we have this beautiful co-relationship where we can discuss things and we can plan and analyze. And it's way more, I think it's way more gratifying to have a partner to work at it with, so he has taken complete control over his own finances where he had none before. So it works, we're talking about women, but the truth is that it works for men and for women. If you are in a dual income household, everyone should participate. Even the kids should participate in managing and having a relationship with money. But so how would you even begin without, I don't know, making somebody feel like you don't trust their decisions, or making somebody feel like you're, like, why are you stirring the pot kind of thing? Why are you changing this? How do you start?
A long time ago, when I was in college, as a matter of fact, I learned that one of the basic rules to be safe walking on the street is that if you feel that somebody's walking behind you and you have that feeling that something is not right, what do women do? This is what women do. Women go like this because they're afraid of, insulting that person. I don't want him to feel bad. So they just go like this. So the one thing that we need to do to feel safe and be safe is to turn around and look at that person in his or her eyes. Because then that person would know, oh my God, espérate, hold on. Okay. What I mean is that when you have a partner, when you have a relationship, you must be able to look at that person's eyes and talk about anything. But let me go back to the cultural aspect. We were taught not to talk about sex. not to talk about money, not to talk about religion, not to talk about politics. Who the hell said that at 52, I cannot talk about money, I cannot talk about sex, I cannot talk about religion, and I cannot talk about politics? I can talk about whatever I want. And then again, I'm going to say it one more time. If I don't take care of myself, I cannot put that responsibility on others. So when I have the younger generation approaching me on, Frances, I have this boyfriend, what should I do? Or girlfriend, but I have this relationship. The first thing I say is that have the conversation about future plans and the credit score. Because if you know that that person has a 300 credit score and has kids, that means that the future home is going to be on your shoulder. And you are not meant to be a martyr from the Mexican telenovelas. Sometimes they tell me, hey, Frances, I feel so bad that he's going to think that I'm like only focused on money. So freaking what? It's not that you are, and if you are focused on money, good for you. But you need to be focused on you. Because if you're not well, Superman is not going to come and rescue you. So those conversations, thank you, Brandy, those conversations have to be there. What's your credit score? How does your parents, do your parents manage their money? Who manages the money in your home? Where do you have a savings account? Where or how you manage? Say, you need to start asking the questions, because then when you get married and you get divorced, you cannot say, and I'm gonna sound very mean, you cannot say, oh, I have such a bad luck with men. Oh, I have such a bad luck. You chose wrong because you didn't dare to protect yourself before you got into that relationship. Do I sound too mean?
You sound passionate and empowered. What do you guys think about this? Anybody want to put in the chat? How does this make you feel? Okay, so Brandy says powerful. Does anybody feel a little triggered by this or have a question about it? Oh, 100% true words.
Oh.
You are getting praised, girl.
And Carol, you know, one of the reasons that I invited Natasha to the summit was because whenever I talk to women about money, there is always an excuse. Can you invest in this? No, I don't have the money. Can you invest in real estate? No, I have to be a millionaire. Have you ever done this? No, I don't know how to. When you don't have enough money to retire, then what are you going to do? What are you going to say? What are you going to tell yourself? What are you going to tell you like 20 years behind? If I don't retire, if I get to be 80 and I don't have a cent in my bank and I have to go and live under a bridge, what I will tell Frances, today's Frances? I didn't dare. I was too lazy to focus on money. I just let go. I didn't care. What are you going to tell your younger self if you get to 80 and you don't have, and you have to eat cat's food like I have seen? That's a question. Because I have seen it. I have seen elderly people who only have money to buy dog food and cat food. Is that you? Or do you want to rewrite your financial destiny? That's the question.
Yeah. You know, when you were saying that, I remembered this story that my dad used to share. So my father used to talk about Don't Eat the Marshmallow. As you know, he wrote a best-selling book called Don't Eat the Marshmallow. Yeah. And it's all about delaying gratification, which is the Ian core, right? One of the best ways to manage your emotions is to learn to delay gratification. So since I was very young, probably 16 or 17, he was always teaching me about delaying gratification. And my father, when he came from Cuba, it had a little bit of a complicated relationship with money, because what happens with immigrants, there's two different types. For some immigrants, they save everything they have because they never want to feel that loss again. But for others, which is what happened to my father, they spend everything they have, because if you don't have it, you can't lose it. And for my father, for a long time, having have been taken from a place where he had wealth and money and everything he wanted, and put into a place where he was poor, didn't know the language, he always felt like it was almost subconsciously like he didn't want to hold on to the money, because if he had too much of it, then he could lose it. They could take it from him again. So whatever came in, came out. And he was always like, live for the moment, buy expensive cars, go out with women, go to the clubs, enjoy right now, because you don't know if you're going to have it tomorrow, which is the counter effect that can happen to an immigrant. And along the way, he came across this concept of delaying gratification and understanding that if he was going to be successful, if his life was going to change, he was going to have to change his relationship with money. And that doesn't mean that you can't go out and enjoy and live a luxurious life and have the things that you want, but it does have to change your relationship with how you spend and how much you save and what you invest. So in his speeches, which a lot was about delaying gratification from a financial perspective, he used to say, it doesn't matter if you are selling flowers in the streets of Panama, or a janitor at a school. It doesn't matter how much money you make. If you are the kind of person that will save and invest what little you can, let's say it's 10% or 15% of your earnings, no matter what it is, if you make $4 and you invest 40 cents and you create that discipline, you will be a wealthy person one day. And he used to always use that example. So I was always raised with that mentality of you don't have to make all of the money in order to be wealthy, right? Like, that's a great way to achieve wealth, is to make more money. But another way is to understand where is your money going and how can you invest it, or how can you multiply it or protect it. So when you started talking about, Latina women investing in beauty, if you were to ask the big questions, if you were to know what your financial picture looks like, then would your shopping priorities change? Would your spending habits change? Would you focus on putting your money elsewhere, even just a small portion of it, so that you become part of the solution in your family, as opposed to what I sometimes see in families is like the man is always arguing and yelling because he's trying to save, and then the woman is kind of like, oh no, but we need to buy the kids shoes, and like there's kind of like an argument with that, but you become part of the solution, part of the building of the wealth, regardless of how much you make.
And let me tell you, I'm totally aligned with you. And there is something that you said that also resonated big time. There is a book that I just got from the bookshelf. I love this book. I don't know if you have all read it.
Oh, yes.
If you have read it, please, I want to see a hand for those of you who I'm not seeing on the camera. Profit first. And what it says basically in a nutshell is that you should pay yourself first. I take it further. I take it even further. You need to pay your future first. And whatever I make, the first chunk of money that gets deducted from my income without me even touching the account the money goes to my investments. Because then again, I'm 52. I'm not a kid. I need to take ownership of my future. So it's a matter of just sitting down, learning about or discovering or thinking about, do I need this or do I want this? Do I need this or do I want this? And one of the first things that I always tell my clients, and I'm not a financial planner, let me be very clear, but sometimes those kind of people, they don't know how to explain it because they went to school to do that. When I talk, I'm telling you what has worked for me, okay? And one of the things that I always do, at least twice a year, is that I sit down and evaluate where my expenses are going. Where am I putting my money? Can I save a 25% from my expenses? Because that 25% that I cut from my expenses, I can put that towards my financial future. For example, one thing that I have been doing for the past, I think, 15 years is that my right hand, every single year, she calls the telephone company. It was AT&T, T-Mobile, whichever. I need to cut the how do you say that, Caro? Tengo que bajar la cuenta, tengo que...
Bill. You have to cut your bill.
I have to cut my bill. If not, if you cannot help me, I'm gonna move to another company. No, Miss Rios, hold on. And they will cut my bill. You have to take control of your money in every single circumstance. You need to cut your health, your beauty expenditure. Hey, right now, it's very rare that I go and pay $100 on manicure and pedicure. I feel like, I can do it once a month, but I don't have to be at the beauty salon spending that amount of money every single week.
But
So-
wait. Because wouldn't you say, if you are the kind of person that wants to spend that kind of money, then you can create the kind of life to be able to afford that kind of thing. If that were your priority, right? Like if your nails are a non-negotiable for you, that's where you want to spend your money.
And
then-
that's fine. But you know what, Caro? I have learned, I have all sorts of friends. And when I have been able to evaluate my friends who are filthy rich, the ones who had worked very hard for their money, they're very careful with their money. They would choose a hotel over the other one because one is 25 cents cheaper than the other one. Do they invest their money? They rather invest their money on art. They have the best art collections around the world. So what you're saying, you're right. You need to put your money where it makes you happy, but you need to do that homework. You need to sit down and evaluate where are you putting your money. Are you making L'Oreal and all those companies filthy rich? And that's a question. What are you doing with your money? Is your money giving you results? Is your money proven that it's giving you a return on the investment? What are you doing with your money? If you don't take a close look at how you manage your money, the odds are that you're throwing your money down the drain. And if you want to rewrite your financial future, you need to take control of your money and really take a close look at what the hell you are doing with it. Because at the end of the day, it's you, the old you, talking to the young you, saying, I'm so sorry, I did not prepare.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I say this to you because I love to explore different concepts. So that is the school of thought that I was raised by, right? That is the Joaquin de Posada model. That is don't eat the marshmallow. That is delay gratification. That is where I feel the safest and most comfortable, is exactly what you're saying. And there's another school of thought, which is for those people who want to be, so there's people that have like a fixed income, and then there's people that do not have a fixed income, that they create their own income. And there is a different school of thought, which is be abundant. Think of abundance, make more money, generate more wealth, create more. You don't have to save every single penny in order to live a rich life. On the contrary, you can create a value for people, create business for people so that you can generate more money so that you can spend on whatever you want. So I love to hear what you're saying, because it's what I feel comfortable with. And I'm curious about your thoughts on the other school of thought of multiply, build, without the saving. I mean, not that you don't have to save, but meaning rather than focus so much on saving 25 cents on the hotel, focus on creating a life that generates more wealth so that you can afford the 25-cent more hotel.
You know what? They both go hand in hand. The people that I'm telling you are people that are among the richest ones in the nation. And they rather put their money. Warren Buffett. Where does Warren Buffett live?
Well, I know. Warren Buffett is an extreme example.
But you know what I mean? It's like you do whatever works out for you. Sometimes we get under the impression that we need to buy all this, beautiful and very expensive, it depends on the del ojo con que lo veas, furniture and t-shirts. Let me give you an example. The Kardashians, do you think that they spent $1 on what they put on? Do you think that they spent $1 on their cars, on purchasing those cars? They don't spend a freaking dollar on those kind of things. They get everything for free. And sometimes I see women that then they go bankrupt, paying, buying Louis Vuittons, buying, all this very expensive things. And I know, and I have that mindset of growth, and we all want to grow. That's fantastic. But the reality is that the markets are very unstable, and we need to be very careful with our money. And we have had cases of people that we know from NSA who were talking about this growth man's mindset, and they even also went broke. So it's a matter of being smart when you're managing your money, because the odds are way too crazy right now. Did I explain myself, Carol?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then Natasha, I love that. Real estate is very stable. It's important to know where your investments are going. It's true. It's true. Real estate has always been a great form of investing. And so is diversification. Real estate is a wonderful way to diverse, right? So you have money in stocks, you have money in your 401k, you have money in savings, and then you have money in this other income producing asset, which is what I love about real estate. I'm partial to real estate investment because I love it, but there's something beautiful about income producing asset. If any of you have ever read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of the things that I love the most that he said was this guy wanted a Porsche. I think it was like a Porsche. And he said, rather than using the money that he had to buy the Porsche, he bought a property that would generate him enough income to pay for the Porsche. And he said that I afford my Porsche with the profits from my income producing asset, which is a beautiful way to think about it. It's not how much you have necessarily, but how much income you produce.
The thing is,
Okay.
like, I see so many times, Caro, and it happens here in Miami, and I see it in New York. I used to live in Manhattan, and it happens in Puerto Rico. You see so many people spending like thousands or even millions on the car, on the house, and they don't have money. If something goes wrong, and I saw it because my father was a banker, and I remember the stories, and I still hear the stories of people who are pretending, and sometimes we are like, oh my God, she has that Porsche. Oh my God, I'm gonna kill myself because I also want to have that Porsche. So let me ask you, and this question goes for all of you. Could you please close your eyes for 2 seconds and take a look at your closet? What kind of shoes do you have? Do you have all high heels? Or do you also have flip-flops, sandals, and ballet slippers? Do you have one style only, or do you have different styles? What about the dresses? All your dresses are long dresses, or do you have short and long dresses? The same thing happens with your investments and your money. You need to put your money in different tools, and you need to manage your money in different ways so that you can protect it and multiply it.
I love it. I love it. We are running out of time, and I don't want to run out of time without throwing a plug to your amazing event. So please tell people where they can sign up. If you guys want to hear from so many experts, you have an incredible lineup of speakers in this convention. So tell them where they can find the information. Let's put it in the chat so that they can join us, because I'm going to be there. Natasha's going to be there. Natasha's going to be speaking, which she has manifested from 3 years prior. And now does all the time, by the way, because every time I look on Instagram, she's on another panel, she's winning another award, she's on another podcast. Like, this girl is all over the place, which just makes me so proud. So womenwholeadsummit.com. There they could find your incredible panel of speakers. You're going to be talking about what kinds of money things?
Everything is going to be about money. I'm bringing a friend from Australia. She's going to be talking and sharing her money hacks, and when it comes to mindset. And I don't have to tell you the story now, but I have to tell you that she lost both of her legs, and she is the first bionic woman in Australia. You cannot miss Stephanie. I'm also bringing Hanoi Morillo. Hanoi Morillo is a Shark Tank in Colombia. She's an investor, and she also is the founder of her own fintech, Thivy. I'm bringing also women like Natasha, who are going to tell you and are going to break the myths of investments. You don't need to be a millionaire to invest in real estate. Another situation that I have been seeing is that women don't know what the hell is crypto. And at the top tiers of organizations, those leaders are talking about crypto, and you cannot be left out of the conversation. If you don't want to invest on crypto, that's fine, but at least you need to understand what is crypto. So it's going to be everything about money, and I'm going to be welcoming everyone with a mimosa. Then we will have a rum from Puerto Rico at lunchtime. And then, because it's 4 de Mayo, we are going to close with mariachis and margaritas from Tequila Cuervo.
All right. I love it. So I hope you guys will join us. You can find Frances Rios on Instagram, Frances Rios Money, at Frances Rios Money. You can go to her website, womenwholeadsummit.com. And you can always find her through me, because this will be on YouTube, this interview and the one we had prior, and through Natasha as well, who's Natasha, your Instagram handle is, put it on the chat so people see it.
It's easy. It's Nat Falcone.
Nat Falcone. I didn't remember if it was Nat.
On Twitter, on Instagram, everywhere.
Yes. So you can find us all. And I'm Caroline de Posada. Thank you guys for spending your lunch hour talking about this very important topic. I hope that this has empowered you and inspired you and put you in a different mindset today as to how you are going to approach money from here on out. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you next month on our next Connect with Gato. Bye.